This is something.
That's fine.
I mean, I can break through walls, I just can't.
That's fine.
Get this.
What makes a masterpiece truly great? It's probably the fact that it never fades over time, revealing something special with each new viewing. Pixar's The Incredibles is exactly that kind of movie. When I watched The Incredibles as a kid, I related to the children because their teenage struggles mirrored my own. But watching it now, I suddenly realize I've become Bob Parr, the guy exhausted by routine, thinking his best years are behind him. The Incredibles anticipated the superhero movie boom. It came out long before the Marvel Cinematic Universe and Christopher Nolan's darker masterpieces. In the early 2000s, superhero movies were undergoing a renaissance, driven by hits like X-Men and Spider-Man, which set a new standard. But The Incredibles took things even further. It was a rare, family-friendly animated film with a serious underlying message, proving that animation could compete head-to-head with live-action films.
Our powers made us special.
Everyone's special, Dash.
Which is another way of saying no one is.
Superheroes were usually distant figures, standing on skyscraper rooftops in latex costumes, caught up in epic dramas. Here, they were simply a family.
It's family.
Beneath the stunning visuals and thrilling action was a story about fears, monotony, and burnout, topics rarely explored in a genre primarily aimed at kids. The film quickly became a cultural phenomenon.
The Oscar goes to The Incredibles.
Winning 2 Oscars, an impressive 10 Annie Awards, and numerous other honors. But more importantly, it entered the cultural DNA of an entire generation. Children and adults watched the movie and saw different things. Some enjoyed the spectacular action scenes, others appreciated the touching family drama, and still others picked up on the subtle satire of hero worship.
Where is my super suit?
Let's dive into what makes The Incredibles so unique, where its creators drew inspiration from, and why this film is considered a pinnacle of animated art. The success of The Incredibles largely stems from the bold creative vision of its director and screenwriter, Brad Bird. By the time he started working on the film, Bird was already well known in the animation world. Back in 1989, he joined Klasky Csupo, where he helped transform The Simpsons from short one-minute sketches on The Tracy Ullman Show into a full-fledged half-hour series, serving as a consultant, director, and storyboard artist. In 1999, the world saw his incredible film, The Iron Giant. And looking ahead, Bird would also gift us another masterpiece, Ratatouille, which deserves its own separate video. Clearly, we're talking about a visionary who plays a significant role in animation, so we simply have to discuss him. But it was his collaboration with Pixar that allowed Bird to fully unleash his storytelling talents.
Hello, I'm Brad Bird.
You're welcome aboard.
He joined Pixar as an outsider director, not part of the studio's original team, bringing a fresh perspective. Pixar backed his original version of a superhero family, and he turned it into something we'd never seen before. The Incredibles was Pixar's first film to receive a PG rating, and it remains the only Pixar film written entirely by a single person. The film's plot revolves around a family of retired superheroes. Bob Parr, once known as Mr. Incredible, and his wife Helen, formerly Elastigirl, have traded their superhero identities for a quiet suburban life, leaving their glory days behind. However, when Bob receives a mysterious message about a top-secret assignment, the family must reunite to tackle their toughest challenge yet. The Incredibles stands out with a visual style that's striking even by Pixar standards. The studio has always been known for its technological innovations. Every new film raised the bar for what animation could do. Before The Incredibles, Pixar had already wowed audiences with lifelike fur in Monsters Incorporated and the richly detailed underwater world of Finding Nemo. Now it was time to tackle human characters and complex high-energy action scenes. And Brad Bird's team absolutely delivered.
I'm still geeking out about it.
Before 2004, no full-length 3D animated film had featured human characters that looked this convincing while still embracing a bold, stylized design. Pixar's artists created a visually unforgettable look for the Parr family and the rest of the cast.
Close the door.
Bird deliberately immersed the story in the retro-futuristic vibe of the 1960s. Looking back on his childhood, he often said he adored the style and energy of the early 60s. That influence is all over The Incredibles.
This film is set in a sort of an alternate universe, mid-60s world. And it's meant to kind of evoke the futurism of that age, but in a sort of timeless way.
The film channels the spirit of classic spy movies and TV shows from that era. Bird was directly inspired by James Bond adventures. It's often been compared to 1960s shows like Batman, Johnny Quest, and even spy parodies like Get Smart. The book, The Art of the Incredibles, goes into great detail about how the artists drew inspiration from the aesthetics of the late 50s and early 60s. From the architecture and industrial design of the time to comic book art and vintage advertising posters. Even Syndrome's tech, his killer robot, computers, and monitors, looks like a retro vision of futuristic gadgets, which adds to the film's unique charm. There's also a companion art book for the sequel, so if you're curious to dive deeper into the making of the films, I highly recommend checking them out. Of course, behind all that visual beauty was an enormous amount of technical effort. Pixar significantly upgraded its animation tools for The Incredibles. One of the biggest challenges was hair, especially Violet's long hair. The team had to develop entirely new software to make it move and react realistically, including how it flows and gets wet. On top of that, the film combined a wide range of environments. Cityscapes, jungles, oceans, lava, and each one had to be animated at the highest level of quality. Brad Bird pushed the team to make viewers forget they were watching an animated film and become fully immersed in the story. And Pixar delivered on that vision. He insisted that the film be shot with cinematic ambition. He treated animation like live-action filmmaking, using dynamic camera angles, simulating handheld movement during chase scenes and fights, and demanding that every frame be crafted with the precision of a blockbuster. Throughout the film, you'll spot 35 explosions, 189 button presses, and around 640 gunshots. Interestingly, the movie's visual style wasn't just about tech, it was also shaped by conscious artistic choices. The lighting team, for example, took inspiration from film noir and classic spy thrillers. You'll see lots of dramatic shadows and bold silhouettes. When Mr. Incredible sneaks through Syndrome space late at night, the suspenseful lighting feels straight out of The Spy Who Loved Me. Meanwhile, the scenes at home with the family are bathed in warm, soft tones, emphasizing a cozy atmosphere, even if the characters are feeling stuck in their routines. That contrast in lighting helps highlight the emotional arc of the film, from the monotony of suburban life to the thrill of heroism. Composer Michael Jakino also played a huge role in creating the film's retro-futuristic vibe and energetic atmosphere. Known for his work on Alias, Lost, and the Medal of Honor video games, The Incredibles marked his first time scoring a feature film. He recorded the soundtrack with a 100-piece orchestra, and instead of using modern multi-track techniques, he went old school, recording it the way jazz orchestras were captured in the 1960s. Pixar has always had a gift for giving its animated characters depth and heart, but the Parr Family is on another level. Brad Bird once said he deliberately exaggerated traditional family roles by giving each character a superpower that reflected their place in the household.
So men are expected to be strong, so Bob had super strength. Moms are pulled in 10 different directions at once, so she's stretching. Teenagers are insecure and defensive, so she could have invisibility and force field. 10-year-olds are energy balls, so he has super speed. Then babies are unknown, so the first movie maybe he has no powers, or maybe he has all the powers.
As a result, the characters didn't come off as flat, cartoonish figures. They became relatable family archetypes. Audiences could easily see themselves in one of these family members. Bob Parr isn't some flawless superhero when we meet him. He's a worn-out, middle-aged man stuck in a dead-end office job, drifting into depression. His days of saving the world are over, and now his heroic acts are limited to working at InsureCare, helping clients navigate a maze of insurance bureaucracy. His struggles are deeply relatable. He misses his glory days, feels useless, and even lies to his wife so he can sneak out and relive his past by fighting petty crime at night. He's flawed, sometimes selfish, and that's what makes his growth so powerful. By the end of the film, Bob realizes his true calling isn't about glory or greatness.
Can't lose you again!
It's about being there for the people who need him most, his family.
Brother never told you never threaten a man's family?
Brad Bird cast Craig T. Nelson as the voice of Mr. Incredible. Nelson's commanding voice, mixed with a light sense of humor, made him the perfect fit for the role.
I feel like the maid. I just cleaned up this mess. Can we keep it clean for 10 minutes?
You get to that point.
Helen Parr, or Elastigirl, in contrast, is introduced as the picture-perfect housewife, having left her superhero career behind to raise her kids. But when her family is threatened, she transforms from a caring, slightly overwhelmed mom into a fearless rescuer. Helen is one of the strongest female characters in animation. Bird has said she was inspired by the real women in his life.
They won't exercise restraint because you're children. They will kill you if they get the chance.
A rare moment of raw intensity in a family animated film, as a mother prepares her children for actual danger. Helen was voiced by Academy Award winner Holly Hunter. Bird was deeply impressed by her ability to convey both tenderness and resilience, qualities essential to the character. The children, Violet and Dash Parr, represent struggles familiar to every teen and child. Violet begins as a shy girl hiding behind her black bangs, wishing she could disappear. Literally. Her power of invisibility reflects that universal teenage desire to blend in, to not be seen or judged. She was brought to life by writer and essayist Sarah Vowell. Bird heard her distinctive voice on the radio and knew she was perfect for Violet. Despite having no prior voice acting experience, Vowell's performance captured the heart of Violet's teenage angst and longing for invisibility. Dash, on the other hand, is bursting with energy and desperate to stand out. He has super speed, and pretending to be normal frustrates him deeply. His story touches on a dilemma many families face. What do you do when your child is gifted? Should they be asked to tone it down just to fit in? In the film's finale, when his parents finally allow Dash to compete in a race, as long as he doesn't come in first, we cheer along with him. He's finally allowed to be himself, without hiding or showing off. Dash was voiced by 11-year-old Spencer Fox, who had previously worked in the community theater, commercials, and voiceovers.
We're dead! We're dead! We'll survive, but we're dead!
As the movie unfolds, no matter how much the kids bicker, they always step up for each other in crucial moments, forming a true team when it counts.
You married Elastigirl? Oh, and got busy!
And then there's the film's villain, Syndrome. He's one of Pixar's best antagonists.
I'm your #1 fan!
Once a fanboy of Mr. Incredible who was coldly rejected as a child, he grew into a brilliant, bitter inventor. Syndrome isn't just a cartoon bad guy. His motives are understandable and even tragic. He embodies the dark side of fandom, showing how unresolved rejection can twist someone into something dangerous. One of the film's most iconic scenes features Syndrome holding Mr. Incredible captive and slipping into a dramatic monologue, until he stops himself and exclaims,
You sly dog! You got me monologuing, I can't...
It's a clever nod to classic comic book cliches. Jason Lee was chosen to voice Syndrome. Bird admired Lee's quirky sensitivity and his ability to give the villain a distinctive, unforgettable voice. Add to that a cast of vibrant supporting characters, and The Incredibles feels like a living, breathing world. There's Bob's best friend, Lucas Best, or Frozone, voiced by Samuel L. Jackson. Cool, witty, and endlessly quotable. His line,
Honey!
What?
Where's my super suit?
has become a full-blown meme.
Edna mode. And guess.
And of course, there's Edna Mode. the one and only costume designer. Despite her brief screen time, Edna, with her iconic shout of
No kicks!
became one of Pixar's most beloved characters. She's a hilarious yet respectful tribute to eccentric fashion designers and inventors. Fun fact, Brad Bird himself voiced Edna because he couldn't find any actor who could capture the character better than he could.
If you repress, you depress, darling. To impress, you must express.
Another fun detail, Bird's son Nicholas voiced the little boy Rusty on the tricycle in The Incredibles.
Man, that was totally wicked!
As well as Squirt the baby sea turtle in Finding Nemo. Looking back now, it's easy to see the legacy The Incredibles left behind. When it premiered in 2004, the film became an instant global hit, earning over $630 million worldwide, which made it one of the highest-grossing animated films of its time. It went on to win 2 Academy Awards, including Best Animated Feature, and received 2 more nominations, one of them for Best Original Screenplay, which is a rare and prestigious honor for an animated movie. But of course, the film's greatest legacy is the love it earned from audiences. The Incredibles was almost immediately recognized as a modern classic. Many kids who grew up watching it are now sharing it with their own children. And the film hasn't lost a bit of its charm. It still looks fresh, the jokes still land, and the action still grips you. That kind of deep, enduring love naturally led to one big question. Would there ever be a sequel? For years, Pixar didn't rush into it, despite constant requests from fans. And then, 14 years later in 2018, they finally released Incredibles 2. Brad Bird returned to the director's chair and picked up the story exactly where it left off. The final scene of the original, The Arrival of the Underminer, flows seamlessly into the opening of the second film. The sequel expanded the original themes in a logical and timely way. This time, Elastigirl takes the lead, invited to spearhead a campaign to legalize superheroes, while Bob stays home with the kids. A clever role reversal that reflects modern conversations around gender roles. Incredibles 2 delivered more of what fans loved: action, humor, and spectacle. It became a box office juggernaut, grossing over $1.2 billion worldwide. Critics and audiences embraced it. Some even said it surpassed the original in terms of pace and energy. Still, most agreed that the magic of the first film was something special. The original Incredibles had the element of surprise. It created a whole new universe of characters, set a new benchmark for animated storytelling, and offered something we'd never quite seen before. The sequel, while successful in its own right, felt more like a thoughtful expansion of a beloved story, a nostalgic return and a welcome chance to reunite with a family we already loved. It proved just how alive and relevant the world Brad Bird created still is. But the title of masterpiece will always belong to the first film, the one that started it all. Some animated movies grow with you, and The Incredibles is one of them. I watched it as a kid and recently rewatched it as an adult, and it felt like 2 completely different films. The things we overlook as children because we're too young to understand suddenly hit much harder later in life. The monotony of daily routines, the tension in family dynamics, you begin to see everything from a new perspective as the years pass. Maybe that's what defines a true masterpiece, a story that reveals more of ourselves each time we return to it.